Hello, dear radio listeners and viewers joining us via the live stream or catching the replay. I'm Shantae, also known as Life Coach 614 here on social media, and I am thrilled to have each and every one of you here today as we embark on a journey of self-care and well-being together. Before we dive into our main topic of discussion today, I do want to set a few ground rules to ensure a positive experience for everyone. In order for us to maintain a harmonious atmosphere, our dedicated admins and moderators are here to assist us in the chat. Please understand that this space is all about sharing, caring, and embracing each other's unique self-care journeys. Your active participation and engagement are key to cultivating a positive energy that we value so much here. Now, we do kindly ask that you be mindful of your contributions, as all donations and subscriptions during the live stream directly support the Self-Care Club LLC. Your generosity helps to create a ripple effect of positivity within our community, enabling us to continue to spread joy on purpose. For more information about the Self-Care Club or to book your personalized one-on-one coaching session with me, please visit selfcareclub.org for more details. Now, let's pledge to make this community a beacon of positivity and support for everyone. If you are ready to embark on a new self-care adventure, please flood the chat with some green hearts. All right, you guys, so our topic for today is embracing one love. And we're going to head down, or I guess embark on this journey to self-acceptance. So again, our focus is going to be one love, right? And so today we are embarking on a deeply personal and transformative journey, one that revolves around self-acceptance. It's, over the next hour, we are going to explore what self-acceptance truly means, why it's so crucial in our lives, and how we can cultivate it within ourselves. Rich Risings, Mika, welcome in, love. So I have broken this conversation down into 4 steps. All right, easy peasy, y'all. We're going to get through this in the next hour. So step 1 is understanding self-acceptance. So when it comes to defining self-acceptance, we have to understand that means it's the ability to embrace all facets of yourself. So it means understanding and embracing your strengths, your weaknesses, your successes, and your failures, and every single thing that lies in between. It's about recognizing your worth without the need for external validation and acknowledging that you are enough just as you are. So when we think about self-acceptance, we understand what self-acceptance is, but we need to be able to understand why self-acceptance matters. Rich Risings First Lady, Rich Risings Chrissy, welcome in, y'all, just in time. Today we are talking about embracing one love and our journey to self-acceptance. So, when we think about self-acceptance, why is it important, right? Rich Risings Voss, welcome in. So self-acceptance is the cornerstone of mental health and emotional well-being. When we think about self-acceptance, we have to understand that this is what allows us to live authentically and to align our actions with our true values and desires. Thank you for the follow, DJ Dre. I appreciate you. Now y'all got to just catch up, okay? We still on step 1. Don't worry about it. All right, so I'll back up just a little bit. So we're talking about understanding self-acceptance. And so when we think about defining self-acceptance, it is our ability to embrace all facets of ourselves, our strengths, our weaknesses, successes and failures, and everything in between. It's about recognizing your worth without the need for external validation and acknowledging that you are enough just as you are. So we're talking about why self-acceptance matters, why it's so important. And so self-acceptance is the cornerstone of mental health and emotional well-being. It allows us to live authentically and for us to align our actions with our values and our desires. So it has to be bigger than just doing something. What we're doing needs to align with what we believe in, right? And what we believe in needs to align with what it is that we want in life, what it is we desire out of life. So we've got to be able to really truly understand what is important to us, why it's important to us, why do we want it, and then we need to just go get it. We need to go do it. So once we start to accept ourselves, it allows us to begin to foster resilience against life's challenges, and it gives us this opportunity to nurture our capacity for genuine joy and fulfillment. Okay? And so as we go on this journey to self-acceptance, thank you, Jay, I appreciate you. We have to understand that the path to self-acceptance is not linear, meaning we're not going to go on this journey and it's going to be a straight line. We are going to have ups and downs. We are going to have highs and lows. But as we're on this journey to accepting ourselves, we have to unlearn negative self-talk, right? All these things that we've done over the years, how we should all over ourselves, and we limit our thinking and limit our beliefs. We have to start to unlearn this negative self-talk. We've got to start challenging societal standards and cultivating self-compassion. It is a continuous process of growth. So we can't do it today and expect to be healed and then think that tomorrow's just going to be completely different. It is something that we have to keep showing up, keep doing over and over again, day after day after day. It is a continuous process of growth and self-discovery. So when we think about moving towards step 2, we've got to understand the barriers to self-acceptance. What is getting in our way of living our best life, right? And so first and foremost, we've got to deal with societal pressures, right? And so societal norms and expectations can be a huge, significant barrier to self-acceptance, right? Rich Risings, Kale, welcome in, love. And so we are constantly being bombarded with messages about how we should look, how we should act, what we should eat, how we should feel, who we should love, right? Where we go, what we do. We're constantly downloading these messages from our cell phone, from the TV, from commercials, from social media. Everyone is geared, like the marketing to everything is geared to telling us what we like, who we should hang out with, what type of person we should be, who we should love, who we should pray to, where we should go, right? When society gets together and decides this is what we want to do, that's when those messages start coming through. So, these type of pressures can lead us to having self-criticism. Thank you, Kale. And honestly, these sort of things, these societal pressures can give us a sense of inadequacy, right? And so we've got to start to, recognize these things for what they are and begin to overcome these societal barriers. So I have a few stories for us today. I'm going to introduce you to a few people today. On topic, so you can see how, use these people as an example of how to overcome, or the importance of, addressing these barriers that are in our way. And so I'm going to share with you Sarah's story. Okay? Thank you, Voss. Have an amazing day, love. So Sarah's story talks about overcoming societal beauty standards. So Sarah always felt like she was living in the shadow of society's beauty standards. Growing up, she was constantly bombarded with images of what was considered ideal beauty. Thin, flawless skin, perfect hair. And so she often found herself comparing herself to these unrealistic standards, and it left her feeling inadequate. When Sarah was in her early 20s, she hit a low point. She was obsessively dieting and exercising, trying to fit the mold of something that wasn't meant for her. The turning point came when she experienced a health scare due to her extreme dieting habits. It was a wake-up call for her. And so at this point, Sarah realized that she needed to make a change. And it wasn't just to her lifestyle, it was to her mindset. She needed to change the way she thought. So she started therapy, and she began learning about body positivity and self-compassion. She began to utilize different resources and tools, and began mindful practices, right? Started unlearning some of these negative behaviors and these limiting beliefs that she held. Through doing this with, therapy and these additional self-care activities, Sarah was able to begin to appreciate her body for what it could do for her rather than how it looked. She even joined a local community of body positivity advocates, which played a crucial role in her journey. Thank you so much, First Lady. And then, through this community, she was able to receive the support that she needed and deserved. And they began to encourage her to celebrate her uniqueness and reject societal pressures. So you guys will be happy to know that today, Sarah is a passionate advocate for self-acceptance. She shares her journeys on social media, inspiring others to embrace their bodies and to reject the unrealistic standards. Her story should remind us that true beauty lies in self-acceptance, and that each and every one of us should have the courage to simply be ourselves, right? The courage to just be who we are, unapologetically loving who we are. All right, so again, that was Sarah's story about how she was able to overcome societal beauty standards. So we don't need to download or, be sold the dream. We need to have the dream. We don't need society to tell us where we should be, what to buy, who to love, what to eat, all of these things. We don't need society to define our beauty, because that's within. We're already beautiful. Each and every one of us are uniquely and wonderfully made and beautiful. So I don't need society to tell me that I need to do this with my hair, or I need to be, this weight, this size, this shape, wear these clothes, right? I get to just wake up and do what I want to do. And that's enough for me, right? That brings me happiness, brings me joy. Welcome in, Allie. How are you today, love? All right, so another barrier that we have to address when it comes to self-acceptance is that internal critic. Miss E, welcome in. The internal critic. That little douchebag voice inside all of us that tells us we can't do this. You shouldn't do this. You didn't do it right. You're making a mistake. That's wrong. Why bother? No one cares, right? That little voice. Yes, Allie. Yes, listen. Love yourself. You were mindful. And look, you made it to day 4. And no one said today had to be day 4. Tomorrow could be day 4. You just took a little pause in between there. And today is early, so you still have time. So we got to think about that internal critic inside of us. Each and every one of us has an internal critic, all right, an inner critic. And this critic is that voice that tells us that we're not good enough. It's that voice that makes us feel like we are inadequate, that we're not enough. The critic often stems from past experiences, childhood conditioning, or even cultural influences. Learning to recognize and quiet this voice is crucial for self-acceptance. Many of us have been groomed into thinking a lot of things about ourselves from a very early age. They make us feel like we're we are less than if we don't do a certain thing. And so we grow up with these very childish visions of who we are and how we should be and things like that. And so we have to start to break this. Recognizing these negative mindsets, these negative thoughts that we have, and being able to say, hey, you don't control me. Right? You're not in charge, that I'm in charge, right? Getting over some of these childhood conditionings that we are still carrying around in our 30s, 40s, 50s, right? We need to be able to just say, hey, I got this. I don't need this. I got this, right? So when I think of James's story, James grew up in a very conservative household where discussing, sexuality and things like that was just taboo. They just didn't do it. And so from a very young age, James knew that he was different, that he felt different. And so, but his family's views and opinions weighed heavily on him. And so James felt a very immense pressure to conform to his family's expectations. He wanted to make them proud, right? He didn't want to be a disappointment in his family's eyes. And so when it came down to James living his life authentically, he couldn't do it because he didn't want to be a disappointment. And so the fear of rejection and judgment kept James in the closet for many years. So now when fast forward, James is now in college, and James is finally having the courage because he's physically, away from his family, right? So now James is starting to have the courage to explore his identity. While he was in college, he was able to join a support group for the LGBTQ plus students, and he finally felt a sense of belonging. Like he finally started to feel that he had found his people who truly could understand him and relate to what he was going through. And he was able to start to share his feelings and his emotions as to what was going on. But all of this internalized shame and fear was still very much a part of his life. And so it still weighed heavy on him and started limiting his ability to just be himself, right? And so, like I said, these things were still weighing very heavy on him. And it wasn't, which was his first boyfriend. James was then starting to be able to see the beauty in himself for the simple fact that Sam began to pour positivity in him and to help James start to break these chains, right? And so, Sam showed up showing James very unconditional love and acceptance, right? And so with Sam's support, James was slowly able to really start to accept himself and his sexuality. So much so that he even decided to come out to his family. And so coming out to his family was one of the most challenging experiences that he had ever felt in his life. There were definitely tears. It was a difficult conversation to have, and unfortunately there was a brief period of estrangement from his family because his whole life, he had hid who he truly was. And so, now that he's in college and he's coming home to say, hey, this is who I really am and this is who I've always been, his family's confused. They don't understand. And apparently, his family had missed all the signs as he was growing up because he hid them so well, or maybe they were in denial. I mean, who knows? It wasn't something that, they grew up discussing. But nonetheless, over time, James's family really truly began to understand, and they even began to accept him for who he was. And so they were able to mend, their relationships within their family. And so now James works as a counselor within the LGBTQ plus community, helping other individuals to navigate their own journeys of self-acceptance. And, his story is just a very powerful testament to the importance of self-love and the strength that it takes for us to live authentically. Ali says, our masks we have growing up become our face until adulthood. Yeah. And so, we definitely have to, begin to embrace ourselves for who we are and love ourselves, for who we are, and just really be true to ourselves. If we're hiding who we are, for other people, then I really just believe that that's a sign that those other people don't deserve us. Right? So if I have to hide who I am truly from you, then it's just probably a sign that you maybe don't need to be in my life. So if I can't show up and be who I am and be respected and appreciated, then maybe you don't deserve who I am. Right? So then the last one that I have in here, as far as the barriers of self-acceptance, great new day, hubby, I see you. So the last one that I have for us when it comes to these barriers of self-acceptance that a lot of us have also dealt with is perfectionism. Perfectionism is the belief that anything less than perfect is acceptable. This mindset can prevent us from acknowledging our worth and embracing, who we really are, embracing our imperfections. Overcoming perfectionism involves us shifting the focus from the unattainable ideals to personal growth and self-compassion. We've got to start to show ourselves some love. As my brother says, we got to begin to talk to me nice, right? I got to love me first. I got to show up every day loving me before I can expect the world to also love me. And so with perfectionism, I'm going to share with you guys Maria's story. And I can really relate to this, you guys, when it comes to conquering perfectionism. I could honestly even say Maria is me, right? Maria was a classic overachiever. From a very early age, she strived for perfection in everything that she did. Academics, sports, even her hobbies. The drive for perfection was fueled by her fear of failure and the belief that her worth was tied to her achievements. In her professional life, Maria's perfectionism started to take a toll on her. She worked long hours, constantly worried about making a mistake, and really started feeling overwhelmed by all the stress. Despite her successes, she never felt satisfied. She never felt like what she was doing was enough. A breakdown at work led Maria to seek help from a therapist. And through therapy, she learned about the detrimental effects that perfectionism was having on her and began to explore the roots of her need for control. Her therapist introduced her to the concept of self-compassion and encouraged her to embrace her imperfections. Rich Rising's Code Mom, welcome in. So, she started going to therapy, she started getting help, and, Maria then began practicing like mindfulness. She started journaling to get these inside thoughts out and to share these emotions and feelings. Thank you. She also began to, become more aware of the negative self-talk. And she was able to start setting realistic goals, learning to celebrate her process rather than being fixated on the perfection of it, right? She joined a local yoga community, which also helped her to connect with others who value balance and self-care. Today, Maria is an advocate for mental health and wellness. She shares her journey with others, encouraging them to embrace their imperfections and prioritize their self-care and well-being over unrealistic standards. Her story highlights the importance of self-compassion and the freedom that comes with accepting ourselves as we are. So, y'all, that's why I said I can definitely relate to Maria. I feel like my story and Maria's story are pretty much one and the same. You know, change a few details here and there, but, you know, when you have this desire or this thought that you need to be prim and proper and perfect all the time, it can really start to weigh on you and break you down. And it's not until you're able to reach out and seek help and start doing work for yourself and embracing yourself that you are truly able to just let go of some of these thoughts and these ideas. Hey, friend. Thank you so much. You and these names. Maintenance man, I see you walked in too. Hey, bro. So when we start to recognize what our barriers are, these things that are limiting us, we are able to then move forward to step 3, guys. And step 3 is cultivating self-acceptance. Cultivating self-acceptance. Yes. Good job, bro. Good job. Now let's make it a regular daily activity, okay? So we're cultivating self-acceptance. And the first part of this would be mindfulness and self-awareness. Mindfulness is a powerful tool for self-acceptance. By staying present and observing our thoughts without judgment, we can begin to develop a deeper understanding of ourselves. Self-awareness helps us to recognize our patterns for self-criticism and open the door for change. Thank you. And then more than this mindfulness and this self-awareness of being aware of it, we have to begin to practice self-compassion. Self-compassion involves loving on ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for the gifts, guys. When practicing self-compassion, we have to acknowledge our shared humanity, right? We have to understand that making mistakes is inevitable. So we know that we're going to fall down. We know that we're going to make mistakes because why? We're human, right? So we have to start showing ourselves that same grace and same compassion that we are showing our friends, our family, our co-workers, complete strangers. Some of us are giving more respect to those around us and not even realizing that we're human too. That it's okay for us to have bad days too. So again, you know, making a mistake is inevitable. We're not all going to get it right all the time. And that's okay. This practice, you know, is something that's very fundamental for us to develop healthy relationships with ourselves. And like I said, before we can step out and start to navigate loving other people and having other people love us, we have to first love on ourselves. Okay? So we have to make sure that we are cultivating this love for self, so that way we can show up and be the best versions of ourselves for someone else to love. First, we utilize positive affirmations and have an attitude of gratitude, where, you know, we know that positive affirmations and gratitude practices can help us to rewire our brains, and that gives us the opportunity to then focus on our strengths and our achievements rather than our perceived flaws. By regularly affirming our worth and expressing gratitude for ourselves, we build a more positive self-image, right? And so by having the affirmations and setting our intentions daily and faithfully repeating these things, right? Affirming ourselves. I am amazing. I am beautiful. I am loved. I am worthy. I am desired. We then start to elevate. So to the point where now we're not just saying it, we're thinking it. We're not just thinking it, we are believing it. We're not just believing it, we are feeling it, right? Rich Risings KB, welcome in. So again, regularly affirming our worth and expressing gratitude for what we have, not what we don't have, right? focusing on the things that we do have. Not so busy harping and griping on the things that we don't have, on the things that we desire, on the things that we're missing, right? That's of no concern to us. Let's be happy and thankful and grateful for what we do have and who we are. That will allow us to build up ourselves and to have a more positive self-image. And so finally, the last step 4 in this process, is practical steps to embrace self-acceptance. You've got to start by building a supportive community. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift and accept you is crucial. A supportive community can help provide you with the encouragement and validation needed to reinforce self-acceptance. You've also got to be willing to set boundaries. Setting healthy boundaries is an act of self-respect. Setting boundaries involves recognizing your limits and communicating them clearly to others. Boundaries protect your emotional well-being, and they also reinforce your sense of self-worth. So we got to let our no's be no's, right? We've got to understand that the word no is a complete sentence, and it can end with a period. It can end with an exclamation point, but it should never end with a question mark. And many of us have boundaries that are ending with a question mark. You're like, no, right? No, honey, my no's are no's. No, period. Hell no, exclamation point, right? Welcome in, Shan, Rich Risings. So again, setting healthy boundaries, keyword, emphasis on the healthy. Setting healthy boundaries is an act of self-respect. And those boundaries are for you. It's not for them. It don't have nothing to do with them. It is for me. It is me protecting me. It is me loving me, right? I set boundaries to protect my peace. So I encourage each and every one of you to start to be very intentional about who you allow to experience you. We've also got to begin to embrace imperfection. We've got to shake this notion that we have to be a certain way, look a certain way, do a certain thing, live a certain life. And understand that, you know what? God made me as I am. And I have the life that I have. And at the end of the day, I am who I am. And I love me, right? So I need to be able to embrace imperfection. Accepting that imperfection is a natural part of the human experience. And it's what allows us to live more authentically. By embracing our flaws, we are then able to focus on growth rather than unattainable perfection. Trying to think of how I want to word this. Our worth was established at birth. And many of us are believers that believe that God, the universe, doesn't make a mistake, right? Rich Risings Goddess, welcome in. And so if we believe that the universe, God, makes no mistake, and if we believe that God is who created us, then how could anything about us be wrong? Because I was perfectly created in His image, not society's image. So why should I be concerned about what you think, what he thinks, what she thinks, what anybody thinks? Because I was purposely created in His image. And so what everybody else thinks is irrelevant. Because if God wanted me a different way, He would have made me a different way. Regardless of what I do, right? So I have to start to love on myself and understand that, you know what? I'm beautiful, flaws and all. I don't care what size you are. I don't care how your hair is. I don't care what your skin color is. I don't care. I don't care. Whatever you deem to be an imperfection is perfect for you. Because you are wonderfully made. And so we've got to start to really truly embrace ourselves for who we are right now. And yes, it is amazing if you decide that you want to make some upgrades to yourself, right? If you are a person and you feel like the weight that you are carrying is too much, and I mean that literally. If you are a person who feels like you are overweight and you feel, you, not society, not some doctor telling you that you overweight because you don't fit the narrative of what they deem to be the right size for your age and height and whatever, right? If you feel like you are carrying too much weight, then you take the steps to improve the quality of your life. If you feel like you are living an unhealthy lifestyle and you wish to make a change, then you do that. But not because society tells you you have to be a vegan, or society tells you that you can't do this or can't do that. You've got to spend some time tapping back into your creator to say, what should I be doing? Where should I be going? And then start to be obedient to that. And when you are spending this time, especially, when we start to tap into our spiritual self-care. Hi, Lakara, Rich Risings love. When we start to tap into our spiritual self-care, it is important to understand that that's the connection between you and the universe. And we don't always have to, tell everybody the plan. Some of us are doing more talking about the plan and less acting on the plan. And so some of the moves that we make in life when it comes to changing our lifestyle and, improving the quality of our life. Thank you so much, Lily. Improving the quality of our life, we need to do more action and less talk. Some of us are great talkers, right? And we are, we receive this download to say, hey, there's a shift, there's a change that needs to take place in our life. And so we go on this journey, and it could be like a fitness journey, for example, right? And we can say, you know what, I'm going to start working out and I'm going to do this and blah, blah, blah. But we're so busy talking about it that we're not necessarily doing it. We're not getting into it in the manner that we should. And so I honestly believe that anytime we're on a lifestyle journey, do it in the manner that we should. And so I honestly believe that anytime we're on a lifestyle journey, sometimes we have to do less of this, right? Less talking and more action. If we are going to tap into additional resources, we've got to do more action. We can't just talk to talk. If nothing else, you got to walk and talk, y'all. And the thing that we have to be careful about anytime we're on these journeys to change our lifestyle is that there's always someone waiting in the cut to hear what you are saying, and they're going to show up with the sole intention of trying to stop it and trying to block it. And I'm not going to say that those weapons will prosper, but they can definitely make for a headache throughout the day. So as you are making changes to your life, maybe just make the change. Don't necessarily run around saying, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. Because someone's going to show up and say, oh, this is what you're doing? Let me do this. Let me come over here and try to block your blessing. And again, that weapon may not prosper, but is it not a headache on the journey? Does that make sense to y'all? Do you guys understand where I'm coming from with this? A lot of us are making these plans and we have these intentions, but we're going about them the wrong way because we're telling everybody the plan and we're telling everybody the intention, thinking that we've met, you're thinking that you're in a safe space, but ultimately, there are still some negative people that are around hearing what you're doing, and they will then show up to disrupt it. So I don't know. I definitely hope that makes sense. Because I think a lot of people get discouraged when they head out on this path to change their lives and improve the quality of their lives. Like I said, whether it's like dieting or exercise or whatever it is that you're doing to improve the quality of your life. It's kind of like, I always remember anytime I would do my fast, I'll periodically do like a Daniel fast. And so I remember going into the office with my coworkers, and I'm like, oh, y'all, tomorrow I start my fast, or, the first of the month I start my fast. So I won't be going to lunch with y'all and stuff like that because I'll be fasting. Or, on my Daniel fast, if it doesn't grow, I don't eat it, right? So I would be, real heavy on like fruits and vegetables, no sugars, no pops, no candy, no all of this stuff, right? And so no sure than I would tell these folks that this is what I'm doing. Everybody want to come to work with donuts and cakes and pies and all these amazing things. And I'm like, for real, I just told y'all this is what I'm doing. And today y'all want to go to my favorite restaurant? Now y'all want to plan a potluck? You see what I mean? And so they were unintentionally sabotaging what I was doing. And yes, of course, if it's something that's important to you, then you overcome it. You know what I mean? But it's just like, I noticed that when I stopped telling them this is what I'm about to do, I stopped being met with so much pushback to do it. I just did it. So I didn't tell people why. When I would pack my lunch and I would have like my fruits and veggies and, these healthy snacks, and everybody else was going out, I would just say, hey, no, I got something to do at lunch today, whatever. And everybody else would leave and I would eat my little rabbit food because on this day I'm fasting, right? And so I didn't get as much pushback. So I hope that makes sense, you guys. I know we're kind of like veering off, but I just think that that's important. Anytime you're on a journey. Hey, Queen Majesty, welcome in, beautiful. I just think that that's important anytime we're on a journey to improve the quality of our lives. That some things aren't meant to be shared, they're just meant to be done. And even if I want to, be a role model, or I want other people to see what it is that I'm doing, I'm just gonna let them see it. I don't have to tell them it too. I'm just going to let them see the transformations, let them see the changes taking place. So that way, I can still be that beacon of light for other people around me. Rich Risings, Tamika, welcome in, love. So yeah, I don't know. I hope that makes sense for you guys. Thank you, beautiful. I hope that makes sense for you guys. And so as we start to wrap up, truthfully, I really hope that you guys feel inspired to embark on your own journey of self-acceptance, right? Remember, self-acceptance is not a destination. It's an ongoing process. It is something that we wake up and do every single day on a regular basis. It requires patience. It requires kindness and a commitment to nurturing yourself. So again, I do encourage each and every one of you to embrace who you are, embrace yourself, and just understand that when we think about one love, it starts with self. And you've got to begin to love on yourself first. So then that way, as you're doing this work and as you're taking these steps, you don't forget why you're doing it. You're doing it for the love of yourself. You're doing it for you first and foremost, not the world around you, not the people around you. If you want to make a change in your life, you're doing it for you. And if other people happen to be blessed by what you're doing, that's just a bonus. But it has to be about you first. So I do want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for being here today. Your presence as well as your gifts really do mean a lot to me. Your support during the live stream, your engagement, the contributions, all of these things. I'd just like to remind you guys that these things do really truly mean a lot to us here, and that these, contributions that you give during the live stream, your subscriptions, your gifts, things like that, those things go directly to the Self-Care Club LLC, enabling us to make a positive impact within the community. Your generosity fuels our mission, and it's why we're able to keep showing up and do what we do each day. If anyone has any questions or stories you'd like to share, I do encourage you to please reach out to us. You can visit the Self-Care Club LLC if you are seeking any additional details about the community, or if you wish to book a one-on-one personalized life coaching session with me. And until the next time, I encourage each and every one of you to take care and embrace the wonderful, unique person that you are. So I hope to see each and every one of you again during our next coaching session. We do meet weekdays, so Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will be back tomorrow for another session. So thank you guys. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you tomorrow.